to Kickoff, baby.
All right. Welcome, dog fans, to the one and only Dog Show. This is Countdown to Kickoff with Troop and Smooch. Just a couple of days away, Smooch. And we talked about it the other night. We kind of, I think, come around to full circle where we were after that game last Saturday night. And I think watching a lot of footage and video and hearing the analysts break things down, I feel a good bit better going into Saturday.
I do. I feel a good bit better, not from just watching Georgia and knowing how they respond, but in comparing Georgia to years past in Kirby's MO. There's just a way he does things that's a bit different from time to time. But on top of that, Troop, I dove hard into Tennessee's first two games this week. And I got to tell you, after watching those two games, I feel a lot better, it makes it very odd to hear the punditry out there and what they think. But I feel a lot better after watching Tennessee's games.
Yeah. I think a big part of, I feel like as a fan, as we approach that game, 3:30 on ABC, I think it is, in Neyland Stadium, is respect. I feel like I'm feeling disrespected. I feel like all these pundits haven't paid attention to Kirby Smart in Georgia and them being the standard of college football. Even if you say, well, maybe Georgia's not the standard, and some people will think that because you got fans all over the place. But you got to admit they're one of the top three schools in the way they handle their business year in and year out.
Absolutely.
When a down year, they still win the SEC championship and make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just shocked at some of I know it's always – you always want to see a lot of pundits, a lot of people, talking heads want to see the next big thing. And for some reason, I guess I can see it, Josh Heupel gets people excited early in the season, and they just can't help themselves.
It's every year. They at this point last year, we were talking about Nico for Heisman. I can remember it distinctly because they were, just like he always does, they're blowing up these weaker teams, Troop. It is a psychosis. It happens every single year at this time.
I mean, if you're going to put so much on what happened in these early games that, I'll tell you, and I heard somebody say it, that they recognize that a program or a offensive system like Tennessee has, they don't really have stuff to hold back. They just play. It's going to be the same way that's why they put up so many points against some of these directional schools. And but Georgia doesn't approach things that way. It's much more of a pro-style offense, a very balanced offense, and there's steps to what they try to accomplish. But so seeing that, that those numbers are inflated and maybe don't mean quite as much. I mean, this time a year ago, they were beating Chattanooga 69-3, and Nico was 22 out of 28 for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was still a front runner for the Heisman. And now he's at UCLA and he can't get out of his own way. He looks terrible. But now Aguiar is the next dude. Aguiar is the one that in this system that's just going to blow up, and he looks so good, makes everybody feel. I just don't see it, but I'm excited to see it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. If you watch him play with any honesty at all, look, I've heard so many of the podcasts and the shows say, "Oh, I was so wrong about Aguiar. He is the real deal." And that's if you gaze at a stat line, you could say he might be better than you thought. But if you watch him play, he takes ridiculous chances with the football, and it's going to burn him against quality teams. And don't be surprised if Tennessee's running him out of town at the end of the year this year, like they did Nico. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, Smooch, let's let the fans in on what some of the, the clips that we have that has kind of set us off and pushed us in this countdown to kickoff to take this narrative and this route.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. First of all, we usually start earlier than we started this evening for the countdown to kickoff, so we just had extra time to keep listening and finding stuff and let it keep ruminating in our head. So I usually check in on Chat Sports close to game week because they go around their whole newsroom and they just get picks from everybody. And so that's the first clip I've got. You may go ahead and roll it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Georgia fans, here you go.
Who you got, Georgia versus Tennessee?
Let's be honest. Gunnar Stockton blows. Get ready to learn Rocky Top, buddy.
I've been told that Gunnar Stockton sucks. Give me Tennessee.
Shout out Joey Peterson. Go Vols.
Wait, I got the Vols. Give me the Vols, Joey Peterson.
First big test for Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar. I think he passes it. Let's go Vols.
Give me the underdog Tennessee Volunteers.
Give me the Vols.
Gonna go with Rocky Top. Go Vols.
Let's go with the Balls.
You got to go with good old Rocky Top.
I got Tennessee with the upset. Go Balls.
Give me the Vols.
I should state that we added that music. That's Dog Show original, and that was back actually when the 2022 season when everybody picked Tennessee to mop the floor with Georgia, and Georgia destroyed the undefeated Tennessee to pretty much throw a wrench in their season. Yeah. That was that rapid reaction.
I can. That sounds like you just went into a big bar with a bunch of Tennessee fans and asked their opinions. That's exactly what that sounded right.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's more recency bias. Seems like it's a little bit even strong to say it because these games, none of these 4 games, 2 for each team, mattered at all. Right. And I mean, they don't. If you're going to say that if Georgia would have won against Austin Peay instead of 28-6. 60-3. Mm-hmm. If you all of a sudden you feel good about Georgia just because that flash, the scoring happened, and you're like, okay, well Georgia's got an offense. Is that what you think is coloring these people's opinions?
You know, I think about it. So within a few inches, Georgia left 2 touchdowns on the field. Right? You had the Frazier fumble. You had that goal line stand. My point is, had things gone the other way and Georgia happened to score those other 2 touchdowns and score in the 40s. Would people then would their picks be different because Georgia scored in the 40s against Austin Peay? That's the part. It just doesn't make any sense. And the same people that say beating these directional schools and these high schools doesn't matter, it's not important, they seem to place a lot of importance on it when they start talking. It's hilarious. Really makes me look forward to Saturday.
Yep, and you got another clip where I think who was it? Brandon Walker and his group discussed the Dogs as well. Do you want to play that one or play the new highs?
No, let's do Brandon Walker because I think we need to point out Brandon Walker is the first and only national figure to block the Dog Show on all social medias. So, and I believe, well, I won't say what he said because we don't have an NC-17 rating, but he was very upset. But anyway, here's his lovely show. I don't think these guys watch football. Look, I know you think that sounds crazy, but when you hear the insanity in this statement, I honestly don't think they watch football. I think they sit around like Howard Stern trying to figure out crazy stuff to say to get clicks. Here we go.
Their defense hasn't been all that great. I know they haven't let up like a ton of points, but I mean, they played Marshall and Austin Peay, and they moved the ball. It's concerning, especially with a passing attack like Heupel and Tennessee will have. They don't have great weapons on the outside.
Why can't Georgia get good skill players? Zachariah Branch is the most overrated college football player I've ever talked about.
Georgia loses this game 9-3 or 8-4. Watch is on. I don't think they've been special at receiver in a couple of years. I don't think they've been special at running back in a couple of years. They're not special at quarterback now.
There you go. Not special anywhere. No skill players. Zachariah Branch, overrated. And the defense, Troop, the defense has looked shaky because Austin Peay and Marshall moved the ball, which, no, they didn't. They didn't move the ball. They didn't do anything. Marshall had a drive.
They really don't. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Marshall had a drive late in the fourth quarter and put a few points on the board off a offensive pass interference that didn't get called. Guys, that's it. Georgia's defense has looked 2021-ish so far this year. We'll go ahead and say it. They are flying to the ball. It's an insane statement for professionals to make.
It is, and it makes me think they really don't watch, or they really don't. They look at look at scores and stat sheets, but it feels like that when we talked about recency bias, that they just have decided already based on 2 games it didn't really matter, and that then Georgia's rotating tons of players in and out. Yeah. That Georgia has no running backs. Georgia has no wide receivers. And Gunnar Stockton, they already know who he is.
Yeah, they already know 2 games in. 2 games in, they know. You know, think of how many guys that went on to be first-round NFL draft picks or Heisman finalists or whatever started the first 2 or 3 games of the season in obscurity. To say that because running Kirby's vanilla game plan in games 1 and 2, you haven't seen, you can say unequivocally that Gunner's not the guy. I mean, to be fair on that point, there's Georgia fans saying it too, but those Georgia fans don't have a podcast. They don't have a show that thousands of people listen to. These guys do. That's what makes it so, it's delusional. We talked about making this a DFA. I mean, that's how delusional this type of thinking is.
And you made a really good point that sometimes it's a lot of Georgia fans right now too, because they are get up in their feelings about some of these things that happen early in the season, even though we have shown them in the past. This is the way Georgia approaches. These are the results. This is the evidence. This is historically what Georgia does, and they show up for the big games. You would have thought last year that Georgia had no chance midway through the season. They went into Texas and beat the brakes off them. Yeah. But I just don't think these guys really watch football. It's all about the clicks. And
I remember after the what was the game in 20- before Missouri, Kent State. After the Kent State game, I remember hearing, is Todd Monken's job in jeopardy? This guy that is now celebrated and venerated in Athens, they were actually saying, is he on the hot seat? Is his job in jeopardy? Is he the answer at offensive coordinator? After he had won a national championship, they're still asking that the next year. That shows the fickle and short-sighted nature of this industry, and we're here for it.
Dude, I had a conversation this week, and you're right. We have a podcast. We watch a lot of football. We watch everybody who breaks this game film down. We sit and watch the offense, defense. We have several people we trust and ask questions about what we're seeing. And so I'm having a conversation with a Georgia fan this week in person, and he was like, he said, Coach Bobo can go and he can take his son with him. He is terrible.
He's one of the most solid players we've had so far.
He said, he is terrible. I saw him miss a block. And I was like, well, first of all, I said, do you know what slide protections are? Yeah, I know. He didn't know what slide protections were. I was like, so when you see these guys move as a unit, sometimes it's not even the player that you think is missing the block. It's his teammate
the one cleaning up for him.
Yeah. And so he's like, yeah, I know. I've seen it. I said, what you have is Bobo derangement syndrome. You need to come to grips with that. Drew Bobo is just fine. You can say what you want about Mike Bobo, and I don't agree with that either. But Drew Bobo is playing really well. One of the most consistent players we got out there. So,
and we were the first to say we were wrong. We assumed he came in as part of a package for his dad coaching, type of thing. But we were wrong. He is a uber solid player, and he's been one of Georgia's most consistent players, period, so far this season. To criticize him is just like holding up a giant sign that says, I do not understand football, and I want to score 60 against Austin Peay.
Yeah, I just can't see some of these guys saying that defense is Georgia's weakness. That means they haven't watched it all.
Right.
Or and some of the comments they were making on Brandon's show that there was not a Georgia type defense, and he liked Tennessee's defense better.
True. I've got more.
Go ahead.
You want to hear another one? This is a good one.
This is on the road. I just feel like Tennessee, when I watch those highlights, that looked more like a Georgia defense than the Georgia defense has looked this far. Maybe I'm wrong, because I think Kirby Smart's as good as they come.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Rick
again.
Neuheisel, you are wrong. Smooch, if you care so much about these raw numbers, what raw numbers defensively have happened from these first 2 games for each of these teams?
Well, let's look at it this way. So Tennessee last year scored 17 against Georgia. The year before that, Tennessee scored 10 against Kirby Smart in Georgia, for a grand total of 27 points in 2 years they've scored against Georgia. Okay? Tennessee's venerated defense gave up 26 against Syracuse. So that means the Vols gave up the same amount to Syracuse as the Georgia Bulldogs defense has given up to the Vols in 2 years combined. And yet,
craziness.
And this is a Syracuse team that went and struggled mightily against Connecticut, where their coach had them out on the field running wind sprints afterwards. So they were highly overrated and looked to be a absolute flop this year. And so you've got a Tennessee team that goes in, gives up 26 to them. Georgia comes in and they've done to shut people down.
I mean, they give up 17 to the directional school they played next. And so they've given up, if you care about raw stats, and apparently they do, Tennessee's given up 43 points against terrible teams this year, and Georgia's given up 13 points against overmatched teams. And so,
by the
just
way,
with the raw stats.
Yeah, that 17 that they gave up to, is it East Tennessee State? Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The 17 they gave up to East Tennessee State is exactly the same as the 17 Georgia gave up to Tennessee last season. But we're going to talk about defense.
And we know that all that's silliness. We do. From one season to the next, or from what happens in these early season games that aren't really, you're not playing teams that can beat you. We know that that's a folly to base anything off of that. Mm-hmm. But we're going to, I got some keys, Smooch. I think you guys really want to know what we think about the game, other than just venting, which we've done right now, about the delusion across the country and their opinions of Georgia and Tennessee. And Georgia could lose this game. There are ways for Georgia to lose this game. This is on the road. It's going to be in a tough environment. It's early in the season where some of these players in the team have not defined themselves just yet.
Young team.
And so what you should go on, if you can say Rick Neuheisel that nobody does it better than Kirby, then nobody does it better than Kirby.
Well said, Drew Brinson.
So I think the keys are very, very simple. They're the same every year for Kirby Smart. That's why you can hang your hat on it. He's going to run the ball. He's going to stop you from running it, and then they're going to need to convert third downs. Georgia does that, and there's not an issue. They have more weapons than Tennessee. Whether you, Brandon Walker, you guys know who Noah Thomas is, you should if you really were a football follower, or Colby Young, or if you really thought if you really knew what Zach Branch was all about, if you knew that Georgia's running back room, how Nate Frazier and Phillips and Chauncey Bowen, some of those guys, how they've run the ball so far this year, you wouldn't just dismiss that like it hasn't happened. Even though they played sparingly and Kirby Smart has not opened up the kitchen sink to blow out some no-name team just to impress you.
Right.
Because that's not the end. That's not the end of the goal. That's not the goal there. That's So
I think
Georgia needs to do those things.
Yeah, you're going to see they unfairly weight entertainment. The media wants to be entertained, and there's nothing entertaining about that Austin Peay game last week, and that's where this kind of thing comes in.
Yeah, we see it. It gets us aggravated, and then when Georgia goes into Austin and blows Texas out, or Tennessee's ranked number 1 and Georgia just completely shuts them down. You should know what the DNA is of a Kirby Smart led team. They're not going to impress you in games that don't matter because that's not part of the process. Kirby says he doesn't really care about the results anyway. He's just trying to instill the process. The process matters because when you get into the thick of it, and the games really do matter, that process will in the end carry you to success. So it doesn't mean you have to score 65 or 70 points on these no-name schools.
Right.
Kirby Smart knows what they're looking for. So those three things, I do think the only team that can beat Georgia is Georgia in this kind of a game. And I think Tennessee is going to pose some problems, but I don't think they are. I don't even think they're as good as they have been in the past 2 or 3 years. I really don't feel like this is a team that has that explosive players. Like I said, Nico was throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and with a 75% completion rate. And now you guys hate him because you won in spite of him.
Right. And now think about Sampson and Pierce not being there. Those are studs on offense and defense. They're gone. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that maybe it was because Tennessee was expected to flop so badly this year that now they're overreacting. But this team is not as good as in years past, and it's observable.
You can find out, yeah. I do, Smooch, think the only way Tennessee, unless they play unless it's a really low scoring game, like 12-9 or something like that. Both teams struggle, yes, because I think Georgia's defense is the one thing that you can count on this game. There are lots of variables every other place, but our eyeballs, not just the results we've seen in the past 2 games, it's not just about statistics, which were good, but our eyeballs tell us that Georgia has a special defensive unit. They come in waves, and it's all through 3 different levels. Yeah. But I think for Tennessee to be successful and score points, which that's what they need to do, to score points.
Right.
Aguiar is going to have to be that dude. He's going to have to put the ball up. He's going to have to make some explosive plays and be the best player on the team.
You're right.
There's really no other avenue than to have some of them big explosive plays that they don't take long to score, but they're hitting you and quick touchdowns. But I also think, Smooch, him doing that is what could get Tennessee blown out, because he has a propensity to throw it to the other team when pressured, and Georgia is going to come after him all Saturday.
Yeah, so in 2022, when the 2 undefeated teams met up, we pointed out here on the show that Hendon Hooker holds on to the ball too long. And then what happened? He got into the game, held on to the ball too long. Tennessee got smoked. Okay, I'm going to tell you the variable this year. Here's the negative on the current Tennessee quarterback. He throws into double and triple coverage deep way too often. Way too often. Every once in a while, take a shot, trust your receiver, even if he's double covered. I get it. It is a regular rhythm with him to chuck the ball. He throws a beautiful looking deep ball, by the way. To chuck the ball down the field with a receiver in double or even triple coverage. That is just, it's part of his DNA. And I think that is where, when you're talking about the jump in competition between even what he's seen in years past when he's played and then coming all this way and then poof being in the SEC, this is his first game against any sort of higher level competition than he's ever played previously. This is it. And it's happening in Neyland Stadium against the Georgia Bulldogs. So watch for that. To me, the game for Tennessee rests, just like you said, just solely on the shoulders of the quarterback. And I think because of that, his tendency to put the ball in danger will be a major swing point in this game at some point.
Yeah, I really believe that, and we've had evidence to prove it. And if you just think those games, East Tennessee State and Syracuse, alleviate all those issues in games where he was never pushed at all or had to run for his life, I think you're going to find out that his weaknesses are going to pop up when you play a team like Georgia. And
he misses high a lot. I've watched both his games. He has a footwork problem. About every 4th throw, his footwork's off. He misses high. Those fall incomplete against Syracuse. They don't against SEC teams. They land in a safety's arms.
Yeah, you also got Chris Cole planting his face mask right in your chest.
Exactly.
So, okay, prediction time. You got some thoughts on how this game's going to play out in the score, Smooch?
Yeah, I think that this game I don't think it'll be a medium scoring game. I think it's either going to be a big scoring blowout or it's going to be a close battle to the end. I look at it like this, Troop. Scoring prediction for me, I'm going to say 17-10. And with that 17-10, it's a 17-10 where the game might not really ever be in jeopardy. It's just one that doesn't have a lot of flash. I could see, let's say Georgia goes up 17-0. Well, what'd they do against Tennessee in 2022 when they went up to a big lead? They threw the ball 3 times in the second half. Now, granted, it was raining. There's other factors. But they did. So do I think if Kirby and Gunner were to get hot, they're going to run up 50? No. So I'm looking for a low-scoring game. I think both teams possibly under 20 points. So, yeah, 17-10 is my call for the game. Victory
Dogs. And I like it. I do think that when I first started looking at it, I was like, well, it could be some limited scoring opportunities. It may not be how many opportunities will we get to score. Then I really looked at what I thought about Georgia's defense and the pressure they're going to put on Aguiar, and I think he's going to turn the ball over. I would have a lower score like yours if he didn't throw 3 picks, which I think he may throw 3 picks, and they're going to turn into some easy points. 31-13 Dogs, only giving up 1 touchdown.
I had 1 touchdown. I was
Yep.
One touchdown is where I started with this prediction. There's no way they give up more than one touchdown.
31-13, but just because I would win maybe a touchdown or maybe 10 points less if it wasn't for the turnovers I expect Georgia to force with Aguilar.
That's a good point.
And you're going to know a lot more about these teams. You're going to know a lot more about Gunnar Stockton, I think, because I don't think he's just the game manager. I don't think Georgia's going to win in spite of him. I think he has the tools and the potential to be as good as he wants to be.
Yeah.
And it could be his coming out party smooch. It's not just because I want it to be. I mean, he's an explosive player with his feet and through the air. Just because he didn't do it against Austin Peay, we wanted to see that too. But that doesn't define who he is. It didn't. Those games didn't define Stetson Bennett either. So give him a chance, folks, and let it happen. I got a great feeling about Georgia's offense Saturday.
Well, if you take Kirby and his players at their word, this has to be his coming out party. All they do is rave about the way he throws when he's deep in the playbook at practice, and the way he runs the offense. He's scoring against Georgia's defense in practice. So that has to translate. But I'll tell you this on the Aguilar turnover thing. If Georgia scores on defense, the game is over.
Yeah.
Because they have got, in their mind, this is Heupel's thinking, they've got to make Gunnar Stockton beat them. That's how they see it. And if they spot Georgia a touchdown off an Aguilar mistake, you can hang it up. They don't have that margin of error that they could overcome it. So scoop and score, pick six, something like that, and you could see it get ugly. But I don't know. I just have a feeling close game. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we still got a couple of days to hear the pundits either back it down and decide that, maybe I'm going to hedge my bet against betting against Kirby Smart in this type of game because we've seen this movie before. But just enjoy it, folks. Just enjoy it. It's a long season, no matter what happens. And I'm very confident in the Dogs, no matter what happens. This is not going to – I don't expect this to be the best that Georgia's going to be. They got a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience, so much talent, and it's been flashing. And with a defense like they have, they're going to give their offense time to really hit their stride.
Right.
And I think Georgia will be in a couple of games. Even if not in Neyland, maybe they will. But it's coming. Georgia's got a lot of weapons and a lot of potential.
And it's a long season.
Long season. Let's enjoy it. Folks, thanks for tuning in to our countdown to kickoff. We should be back Saturday afternoon. Celebration and our rapid reaction.
Assuming I still have a voice at that point. I hope my smacking on Grandma's peppermint wasn't too much for the audience. Love you guys. See you later.
See you soon.
Countdown to kickoff, baby.